And we're live.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. If you're watching this on playback, I'm Roman Townsend, I'm the Managing Director of Belvera, and I'm here joined by my colleague Zoe Kumbuzi. Hi, Zoe. Thanks for making the time today.
Of course. This is a bit weird for me because usually I'm the one moderating or asking the questions, and today I'm in the hot seat, so this is fun.
Well, there you go. I'm flipping it. Maybe one day you could interview me. We have done before, actually. So yeah. So topic for today: LinkedIn and its importance. So historically in PR, going way back, certainly to when I started in PR, almost in the late 90s. Well, kind of in the late 90s. It was all about getting people in newspapers and then or trade publications, and then slowly it became sort of online. I remember this sort of strange period where it was like there were separate online teams to print teams, all this kind of strange stuff. And then people started talking about SEO and the importance of SEO. More recently now, we're moving beyond that, and the GEO and all the rest of that's a different matter. But LinkedIn is, for many people, a really important platform for networking and also having visibility on what's going on in the professional world. I think I consume as much news via LinkedIn as I do via any other source. And you're our LinkedIn guru. Why is it that we're here today to talk about why it is that people should be have a strategy just for LinkedIn? It's no longer just an overspill. It needs to be something of itself. So thanks for making the time, and just sort of chew the fat on this topic. Before we get into that, though, tell us a bit more about yourself and your role working with us at Belvera.
Sure. Well, this is a topic really close to my heart because, as you said, times change in PR and marketing, and LinkedIn has become one of those channels that's just impossible to ignore. So I'm primarily a fractional CMO in the travel and hospitality space, more hospitality. And I work both with strategy and execution. So really helping clients with their positioning, go-to-market strategy, founder, thought leadership, and everything that falls under the umbrella of marketing, really. I'm a product marketer at heart, so I'm all about the messaging and positioning. And at Belvera, I'm really focusing in on helping your clients to position themselves well on LinkedIn. So I'll traditionally do that just by auditing a client company page and their employee pages as well. So nobody is safe, giving them feedback so that they can use this amazing distribution channel as they should be doing. It's all about trust. We're going to dive into that. But, modern go-to-market strategy relies heavily on trust, especially in our industry. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for the update, and I have to say you're doing fantastic work, and I know the clients appreciate this a great deal. So please keep that up. Turning to the value of LinkedIn then, and why people should have a very clear strategy if they don't already have one. You've said many times that LinkedIn is perhaps one of the most important channels in the B2B space. What do you mean about that? Do you really mean it's the most important, or one of, or qualify?
Qualify. It's one of course. It's not the most important. Like, that would be a bit of a high claim. But for me, I always say it's like the lowest leverage, highest output channel really that you can get out there. It has, for me, two really, really big sort of positives about it. One thing is it makes people trust you. So trust is so important in every industry. When people are buying, they're not always choosing on the best products, as if obviously they should be, but they're really choosing on trust and closeness with that brand. And LinkedIn is really an opportunity to do that. So a little stat for you: over 80% of business decision makers said thought leadership increased their trust in an organization, right? So we obviously know that that's why people come to Belvera for PR, because thought leadership is a huge and important part of that. But also, brands don't have to wait for that PR moment, because that PR moment might be once a month or twice a month. their founder or their employees can be on LinkedIn every single day, engaging with people and building that trust, so that when it's time to buy, because people aren't always in a buying, in a moment of purchase in a buying cycle, that they will choose that brand. And that's by staying memorable and staying top of mind. So it's really a platform that allows you to do that. Every founder post is media. Every single founder post is media. And so we're talking about a relationship industry where we want to be available, we want to be visible, we want to be top of mind. So the first point is trust, and the second point is AI search, which I know we're going to dive into a bit more, but LinkedIn is not a social media platform. It's now part of the platforms that an AI search engine or LLM will look for when it's talking about your brand. So it's really important in that perspective as well.
And is this, presumably what you're saying there would be relevant for any sort of B2B brands, but particularly hospitality, that's your thing. Is this more important in hospitality, or people should be looking at it from a different perspective? Or
yeah, I think hospitality technology is a very specific industry. I mean, of all the techs, I love it. I think it's a great industry to be in, but it is a very, very, very relationship driven industry. It has very long B2B buyer cycles. The buyer themselves, the hoteliers, are very complex. There's a big range from your boutique independents to your big brands as to who the buyer will actually be. And so trust in these relationships is hugely important. I was on stage talking about it last week. Buyer vendor trust. And one of the ways you can do trust is by being authentic, by personal branding, which is a term I'm not, I don't love.
More on that in a second, yeah.
We're all influencers. But no, it's about trust. It's about being available. And, thought leadership becomes differentiation in the market, and it makes people think of your brand and trust your brand. So the other thing is, it's not just about the, tech hotelier relationship. It's also about partnerships. So if you have a strong circle, a network of partners, they will talk about you when you're not in the room. And actually, a lot of the clients I work with, some of the best and biggest introductions and best and biggest deals that they've had have come through their partnership circle. And that's crazy to think, but LinkedIn is also great for that. So you're not only talking to hoteliers, you're also talking to other brands within the industry to show this is what we're doing and this is what we're thinking and this is how we're doing it. And again, it's such a crowded market. Like, you have to stay top of mind. Nobody can remember everything. So just be there, be omnipresent.
I completely agree. But you've got to be in it to win it. Personal branding. So that you said there, you're not keen on that term. What do you mean by that? And what's the alternative? What is it that people should be doing? Like, should I not be, should I just be promoting Belvedere as a business and not Roman Townsend?
Yeah, I have a complex relationship with the term personal branding, because I feel like it gives a lot of people the ick. And, especially, well, it depends on your culture, but especially us Brits, we're like, oh, don't be too loud, don't push yourself out there, and that's kind of what it means. It's like, I'm a brand, I'm going to show myself. For some people, that's easier than others. Like you or I don't have a problem with that, but most people, it stops them. And it shouldn't, because it's not about personal branding. A founder page specifically needs to be thought of as a media distribution channel. Like, that's what it is. It is distributing media for your company. It's not about the vanity metrics. It's really about trust, again, familiarity, and creating category authority for your brand. And you've got an amazing channel to do that.
Okay, then. I think it's an important distinction. Yeah, it's not sort of personal branding for the sake of it. It's not all about what color T-shirt you wear or how you do your makeup or something. Company pages, as in websites, not LinkedIn, I suppose. Tell us about those. Well, why are they still relevant? Mm-hmm. Do people, should I be wasting any time on having a website?
Yeah, so you asked a really good question before about whether you should be posting as Belvera as yourself. And I think company pages in this sense are about putting out the news from your company, definitely, making shareable content that your employees can share. It's about a sounding board for everything that you're doing. And it's also about employer branding. So obviously, you as a company, whatever stage you're in, you want to attract the best talent for your company, because a company is made up by the people literally that work for it. So your company page can also be used to show that you're a good place to work. In terms of a website, do people need a website? Yeah, they absolutely do. I think, we're in the age now where people have almost made up their mind, if not put you on a short list of maybe 3 by the time they actually come to have a conversation with you or click that demo button. So they're going to be making that decision based on the awareness you create with your different distribution channels, with your PR, with your LinkedIn, with your ads. And then they're going to be hopefully coming to your website when they have a higher intent in order to read up more about your company. So maybe have a look at some testimonials, some case studies. Your website obviously should be optimized to have a lead magnet. Let's collect some emails. A website has a lot of uses. Yeah, the website is definitely not dead. And of course, for AI search, we need the website too. It's not as strong as it used to be, as in it's not with SEO, it's not just from there, the information that comes up about your company, but it's still an important pillar of your search. Yeah.
And I think you and I together, when we've done audits of companies, you see some pretty poor company pages, don't you? Outdated, descriptions of their business, or they don't put a web link, or either very vague terminology that you sort of like, I don't really know what that means. We are a technology provider to the travel industry, helping people solve problems. Okay. Or way too complex. No, it's a bit of an art. Not many people get it right, do they?
They don't. And the thing is, to fix that is actually quite simple. Like, you don't have a lot of real estate on LinkedIn. So fix it and make it right, because it will just, it doesn't take long. But the problem is, it's like you can't see the label in the bottle from inside the bottle, as they say. So, and this is an issue, not just on LinkedIn, it's on, everything that I encounter in marketing, is that when you're in a company, it seems so obvious what you do, and it seems so obvious that what you're doing is amazing. And then, but it's a walled garden. Like, if you don't have marketing, communications, PR and things like that, how the hell are people from the outside supposed to know? They don't, they're not mind readers. So, but it's easy, weirdly enough, it's easy to forget that when you're inside a company and you're living and you're breathing it every single day. You think everyone must know. Similarly, you must think, oh, the messaging we're putting out is going to hit with all our clients, and let's just do it like this. Well, you don't know until you've spoken to clients about how they're perceiving your brand. You don't know until you've spoken to other industry folks. One of the things I did at ITB for one of our clients is I went around showing our client website to other people in our industry and saying, what do you think that this technology provider does? And it was quite astounding how they didn't get a demo. So it's really important that, you can, your founders and your team from inside can build something that seems solid, but you've got to test that on the outside, and you've got to make sure that you're communicating it all the time. I mean, I can't, messaging is like, written and verbal communication for me is just like, it's an art form that we're kind of losing, but that's a good thing for the companies that lean into it, because they're going to stand out above the rest. Like, but we're human beings. We still don't have telepathy. We still communicate with the written word and the spoken word. So it's important how you do it. Yeah.
Or they just employ us to do it.
Exactly.
So how does all this relate to AI search? Because presumably, everything that's on the internet gets fed now into these platforms. LinkedIn content gets pumped into them as well?
Oh my gosh. So AI search, about a year ago, I was Google searching. It was for an RMS platform, actually. It was more like 18 months ago. Google searching about an RMS platform. And the first entry in Google, as it was at the time, was an article. It was an article by Ira Vuk, actually, who's a futurist in our industry. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is being indexed, right? LinkedIn articles are being indexed. This is really, really interesting, because I've been really leaning into LinkedIn as a go-to-market, arm of go-to-market with my clients in the last couple of years. Since I've been using it more, I'm like, wow. Fast forward to now, I read an article just last week on HubSpot, and there's more and more articles coming out about how LinkedIn is becoming a hugely important part of AI search. It's for people that use it regularly, and you'll have noticed this as well, it's changed its algorithm quite seriously recently. If your posts don't really match up to your profile, it won't give you much reach on your post. So it's becoming a lot more sophisticated, because it really wants to ensure that people talking about a certain subject are thought leaders in that subject. I'm guessing so that AI search can be better, right? It's linking everything up. So LinkedIn is very important for AI search. More than anything else is articles. And that's not something that many people are using. So it really is a good opportunity for companies out there, like start posting articles on LinkedIn. And content is usually not the problem. Like it's quite easy for us to find content. Like Belvera, we will find content from this LinkedIn Live, I will make this into a blog and it will go into several social media posts.
Well, you won't, an AI tool will, but yeah.
An AI tool will read the transcript. That's how easy it is to make content today. It's about distributing that smartly on different channels. Why wouldn't you? And so going back, LinkedIn articles do it. Another thing I've been doing with a client recently, and it was incredible to see, is creating a LinkedIn newsletter. Now there are pros and cons of that, because on a LinkedIn newsletter, you're not going to own the readers. Let's say you don't have their email address. Okay, that's a bit annoying, but it was amazing. After we published the first edition, it just went up from 200 subscribers, 300, 500. Every time I'd refresh the browser, it would just go up and up and up and up. And I think we're like over 2,000 now. And it's like we've published 3 newsletters, like nothing. So there are features on LinkedIn. Yeah, and how many companies do you see doing that? Like barely any. So things are just, just get in there before everybody's doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think get stuck in is often the best advice. A lot of people sometimes want to wait for the perfect strategy and consider every option. And in a world that is just, changing quite literally from one week or certainly 1 month to the next, just get stuck in is probably the best advice.
Yeah.
So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but talking about the company pages being pretty broad descriptions. But what are the classic mistakes you see hospitality tech companies making on their on their LinkedIn page, or just general, the content they're producing, or the way in which the technical way in which they're managing the platform?
Yeah. So some of the common mistakes I see are, one of my massive bugbears as a marketer is no CTA on anything. Like, marketing is a huge part of its psychology, as we know. So if you don't tell people what to do next, they're not going to do the thing. Like if you don't specifically say, comment below, or visit this website, or sign up to the webinar, they're just psychologically less likely to do it. So that's one thing I see all the time. Just post and then it finishes. You're like, oh, okay. Tell people what to do. The other thing is a really overly corporate tone. It's very off-putting. And as we spoke about, like, this is all about trust. So don't be too corporate. Don't be too crazy either. Find a good tone of voice. Don't be sassy. But don't be too corporate either. And don't just churn it out over AI. Like, of course, use AI to plan. Of course, use AI to check things. Like, it's amazing, especially if you're a non-native speaker. Of course, use it. Of course, use it to write your posts, but at least edit them, get down to making it something a bit more human, because it just hits so much better. In fact, and this is more personal page than company page, I've noticed some sort of big creators on LinkedIn, even using like purposeful spelling mistakes, or you'll see some people not using capitals where they should use capitals, because it introduces that idea that like this is human written, and we're biased towards human written content, so we like it. Other mistakes that I see are not really having a clear point of view, so just kind of churning out generic stuff and not putting your line in the sand and being like, this is what we think and this is what we stand for as a company. And I think that comes back very much to positioning. Like, strangely enough, a lot of companies find it difficult to just decide who we are and just go with that. So decide who you are, have a clear point of view, tell people what to do, incorporate human writing. There's always going to be someone on the team that can write. And then the last but not least biggest oversight on company pages is diving too much into the company page without having an employee strategy. So of like nearly all, I'd say all the audits that I've done, even if the company page is in quite good shape, I dive down into, open all my tabs for all the employees that are associated on that page. And barely any of them even mention the company, barely any of them have the company description in their experience, let alone posting. I mean, it's not just about getting them to post, it's about having their profile optimized.
That is very common amongst IT development teams. We see that a lot. And so the more technical they are, the less likely they are to either be on there or associated with a company or even not be on there. The other thing we see is people who have Chinese teams, virtually none of the team is on LinkedIn because it's difficult to gain access to it and no one uses it. But yeah, it's a really good point, because I think they're missing out on an audience that could engage with and cascade the information massively. But also, what I often point out to people is, if you're pitching and saying we're a company of 50 staff, but then someone looks on your LinkedIn and there's only 5 of you, it doesn't look right.
Doesn't look right. Yeah.
What's the answer though? How do you engage those kind of teams, those kind of individuals? I mean, can you force people to do it?
No, you can't. And this is one of the age-old problems with LinkedIn, is that, companies will provide branded banners, companies will provide a little spiel to put in. And it's very, very delicate. And you need to make sure that your employees don't feel forced at all, because nobody likes that. I think you've obviously got to have a good relationship with your staff for your staff to want to represent you online. Like, nobody is going to talk highly about a company that they don't like working for. If you look at a company like Muse, for example, their employees, independently of anything they post about Muse, speak about them so highly. It's clearly somewhere where they value their employees and they spend a lot of time doing that, which I think is a company that at the end of the day, as an outsider, you're going to want to collaborate with more. You're going to want to spend your money with more, because happy staff, happy teams make good products, right? Make good companies. So I think it's really important that you don't force your staff. I mean, company workshops is something that I do quite regularly. And what I would say is make sure that your staff see the benefits in improving their online persona, their online, profile to them, because first and foremost, it's to them as a professional, and that's how it should be. And companies are afraid of that. And some companies say they don't want to do that because they're afraid that their staff will leave or won't represent them properly online. I don't believe in all that. I think that shows.
I've heard that's happened if you train people and give them great opportunities, or just let them leave the house. Apparently, it's a common risk.
If you let them leave, you don't have them chained to your desk.
If you give them a telephone or access to the internet,
I know. It's crazy.
Stop eating them for 5 minutes. I hear there's a risk they leave.
I know, that's the thing. I mean, how absurd is that? It's a whole nother thing. But I think that it's important to, what I say is always like, train them and trust them, because when you train people properly onto how to create a good profile and maybe some posting strategies and tactics, and then you trust them, they are going to become mini distribution engines for you as well. And it's literally something that no marketing budget can buy. Like a company employee strategy on social media, I guarantee you, a company, just no marketing company I've ever worked with has the budget to do what that could potentially do. So it's worth a little bit of investment, a little bit of time.
Certainly B2B companies as well. I think in particular, I mean, you only need 30, 40 people chatting about something for that to cascade down to an audience of hundreds. It's you don't have to be cut through like like the Kardashians or the latest Fast and Furious movie launch or something. Turning then to the topic of execs, founders, CEOs, that kind of thing. These are busy people. Their attention span is limited. I heard this great term the other day. Something about their front lobe being burnt or something. I'll come back to me in a second. But their attention spans of sport are short. They are very busy. How do they engage with LinkedIn? What are the easy steps they can be taking? If they've only got a minute a day, what is it they should be doing?
If they've got a minute a day, they should be starting in the comments. Commenting strategy is the best thing you can do on LinkedIn. If you really haven't got time to post, because I know that posting can take time. I mean, to be honest, if you're a founder and you don't have time to post, I think you can get your team to help you. That's absolutely fine. Get your team to have a 20-minute check-in with you, or maybe it's just part of the normal routine. Record the call, pick out 2 or 3 topics that have come up in client conversations or in that founder's everyday life, put it through ChatGPT and give them some content that they then approve. So that creating content shouldn't be a massive lift for them. Obviously, they need their profile to be updated and be like I call it like a mini high-performing landing page. And then comment. If they've really got no time, comment. I wouldn't recommend outsourcing commenting. I've tried that with a client and it was not a good experience because I didn't feel good doing it. It's like catfishing. I was like, I'm not doing that again. And it's not good for the founder because the point is that they're making relationships, that they're going to bump into that person at an event, and they need to know what they've talked about, right? So I'd say you can outsource your posting, but don't outsource your commenting. And if you can only do one thing, comment.
Okay, and that's something people can get stuck into right away, really, isn't it? You just pick 1 or 2 things and off you go. If you could give hospitality tech leaders just one piece of advice for the next 12 months, what would it be?
I'd say stop thinking about LinkedIn as a social media platform. It's not. It's a distribution platform, and it's an absolutely essential arm of your go-to-market strategy, especially if you're breaking into the market.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. I think you heard it here. Wouldn't disagree with anything you said. That I've been saying for a long time that I think LinkedIn is probably the most powerful free tool on the internet. From a B2B marketing perspective, anyway, or certainly for us in the wider travel tech industry. And for me personally, if tomorrow they said, Roman, we've got your number. We're going to charge you €5,000 a year to use LinkedIn from now because we've worked out that you're really using that to run your business. Then I would consult with a lawyer, and then when I found out I wasn't going to get anywhere, I would just transfer the €5,000 and move on with my life. It's a really, really, imagine 20 years ago someone saying, we're going to offer you a tool where you can access anyone anywhere in the world and find out information about their career history and who they're linked to, and send them messages and receive real-time updates from them about what they're doing. Your mind would have been blown by that. We were impressed by people who had a big Rolodex on their table, or maybe knew a lot of names in their head. But it's gone from that being like a network thing where you can network and you can reach other people, like you say, social media platform, to being a kind of distribution platform in itself. And equally, even 10 years ago, someone said to me, you could have your own publication, but one that everyone else is signed up for, and that's not social media-ish. Again, would have blown my mind. And yet here we are, and there's a lot of people not wanting to engage with or use it. Remarkable.
I know. And here we are on LinkedIn doing a live.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, exactly. It's prove the point we're doing. Prove the point we're doing it via Facebook Live. Yeah.
No, I mean, absolutely. Look, I wouldn't have my business. I wouldn't have my career if it wasn't for LinkedIn. Everything that I've done over the last few years, from active clients to podcasts to speaking opportunities, and friendships. I've made a lot of friends here on LinkedIn that, I've eventually met in real life. And it's, especially when a lot of us working remotely and globally, it ticks so many boxes. So yeah, it's worth getting on. I mean, we've talked mostly about founders today and companies and how we can improve visibility for PR and for AI search, and that's hugely important. But also, as professionals, it also has its importance. So yeah, I don't know what I'd do without it. I'd miss it. I'd pay for it too.
I just pay the £5 and move on with my life. Can you take credit card? Exactly. Can I pay monthly instalments? That'd be my question.
Throw your money at them.
throw your money at them. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's more than enough for one day, Zoe. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for dialing in, listening, playing back, commenting. We're going to be doing lots more of these types of things over the coming months. We're playing around with the format. We welcome everybody's suggestions. If you'd like to appear on one with us and you've got an interesting topic, let us know. We certainly really want to grab people's attention with relevant, interesting, sexy content. So watch out.
Exactly. Take care. Have a great day. Thanks, Roman.
Thanks everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.